some. This is the Husker Homer edition of the show.
Oh,
Let's talk about some news. The Huskers have named their quarterback. They named him last weekend on Sunday. Adrian Martinez, the freshman quarterback, is the starter. I am actually very excited about this.
I am also excited, but at the same time, I'm very weary to see how it goes, considering they have no other scholarship quarterbacks outside of him right now.
After this news comes out, Tristan, is it Geba?
Gebbia.
Gebbia. He signed. He left the team, and it looks like I just reported today that he will be going to Oregon
State.
Oh, I just saw Oregon. I'm sorry, Oregon State. Yeah, you're right. So he's going to end up with Mike Riley. So that's interesting. The joke was I saw on Twitter. There's a meme, and it's a dude. It said Oregon State's new recruiting plan, and the garbage can has the Oregon State logo, and the trash has the Nebraska logo, and he's dropping it in the trash. So they're taking all of our scraps. I do wonder, like, that news that came out a few days later, that worries me. But watching the tape on this kid and watching in spring, this is a quarterback that Scott Frost got because he knew he could run his style of offense.
Yep. Martinez is exactly what Frost wants for his offense, and Gebbia was the exact opposite. The dude's not a stellar athlete on his feet. He has a hell of an arm, but he's going to a spot where his talents will be used better. And there's no other way to put it. He left because he didn't have a starting position here and he wasn't going to excel. Like, granted, the way that Martinez plays, I'll guarantee you our backup's playing at least one game this year. He's going to get injured. He's not a huge guy, and the way they use him, he's probably going to get hit hard. It's how it goes. So I feel like they kind of lost out a little bit on the depth, but they're doing all that they can to try and get Vidral's sit-out year rescinded so he could possibly be the backup to come in. So,
well, and this is also kind of weird, and I don't know what the situation is, but I don't know the exact number of players that have left Nebraska, but it's actually a surprising amount of number of kids that have left the school. And I don't know what that is. I don't know how often that happens. I'm sure it happens a lot at other schools, but you're seeing a lot of guys leave. And I'm wondering if it's, maybe this isn't what they signed up for. Maybe these are some Riley's kids that were like, okay, this is a lot more competitive and intense than what we were used to. I don't know, but Geba is the latest in a surprising number of players that leaving. Do you think it's just maybe just some kids just aren't as tough for the school? I don't know.
I think a little bit of everything on that. It's a lot tougher than what it was with Riley. The strength and conditioning is much different. They're providing a much better program now for these guys to get bigger, better, and in shape and be able to perform. Also, along with that, you're seeing a lot of the outside of the quarterback position, you're seeing a lot of these guys that are transferring at positions of depth for Nebraska. Like the defensive back they brought in from JUCO that left. Like he left because he got there and he realized that he's already going to be a junior next year and he's not going to play because the sophomores and the freshmen that were there are already out playing him right now going into fall practice. He gets through fall practice trying to help himself and he didn't help himself. So yeah, he's not gonna stay here and not play. That's kind of the way they look at it. And sadly, that's kind of the mindset of a lot of these players these days. No longer do they want to stay and try and get better and then take a starting job back. They just want to leave and go somewhere else where they can get the starting job.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of it too. And from what I read, Geba was kind of a douchebag anyway.
I didn't really read a whole bunch on that, but it's different. I mean, you can look at, as an example, AJ Bush is a kid that comes to mind of a hey, I'm not starting, I'm going to transfer. Yeah. He started at Nebraska, came to Iowa Western 2 years ago. Last year was at Virginia Tech, and he's finishing up his senior season now at Illinois. He's going to be the starting quarterback for Illinois, which is absolutely hilarious because
the garbage fire The garbage fire of Illinois. The bottom of the barrel of the Big Ten is where he ends up.
Dude, yeah, he ended up there. Like, well, Illinois wanted him when he was coming out of Iowa Western, but he decided to go to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech obviously started, he got beat out by a freshman. What's funny is, we won't go into names, but there's a coach that literally said about AJ Bush at one point in time, I've never had a kid on my team that I thought was legitimately trying to lose a game for me, but he was the first one.
Yeah, it's no surprise that Geba did this almost like I would say a few days after the news of Martinez being the starter. And honestly, I good riddance. I don't want to talk down to the guy because I'm a Husker fan, but to me, it just says that he's not a good teammate. I'm sorry. That's just how it works. This guy just happened to be better for the system and better for the situation. How do you respond to that? Well, you be a good teammate and you stick it out and you stay there. Who knows? Like you said, Martinez could get hurt at some point. Maybe Frost adds a wrinkle where you could be playing too and doing a 2-quarterback system. I just don't. I never understood the situation where it's like, well, I'm not the starter, so I have to leave. I think it's silly to have that mentality in football of all sports. It's football is arguably the most ultimate team sport, and quite frankly, he's a bad teammate. And good on him. Maybe he has a successful career at Oregon State, but let's be honest, nobody does because Oregon State is always garbage.
Well, the thing about it is Oregon State has been good with Riley there at first. They were good about getting at least a couple guys each time into the NFL, but they were never successful from on a team standpoint, really. So, I mean, if his option right now is he wants to go be a pocket passer and see how it goes for him in the NFL, maybe he made the right choice. But also at the same time, you're going to a team that's had 3 head coaches in the past 3 years. So good luck.
Right. And I guess, if you, like you said, the NFL situation, that's a good thing to do because, Riley's always been known to run a pro-style offense, and that's a much more NFL-friendly offense than Scott Frost's offense. So maybe you're right on that aspect.
He's just going to be he's just like a consultant. He's not really helping them run the offense or anything like that. He's a consultant for them.
He's an assistant.
I thought when they hired him as a consultant instead. But I mean, if he ends up being an assistant and the head or the offensive side, maybe that works for him. So
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's his role because he's known for his work with quarterbacks. Yeah. So that's not surprising. Yeah. Good for Riley. People were talking. I've heard people talk bad about him. Look, it didn't work out in Nebraska. He wasn't a right fit for Nebraska, but he was a really it's just he kind of sucked as a head coach. It happens.